Hello everyone! Welcome back to our channel. Today, I will tell you a long, emotional, and realistic story in simple English. This story will help you practice listening, improve your vocabulary, and also inspire you. The story's title is The Long Road Home. Are you ready? Let's begin. Daniel was born in a small countryside village in South Asia. His house was made of mud bricks with a tin roof that rattled loudly every time rain poured down. His family was very poor. His father worked long hours in the rice fields, while his mother washed clothes for others in the village to earn extra money. Daniel was the eldest child, with two younger sisters, Emma and Lily. He loved them deeply. From an early age, he understood the heavy weight of responsibility on his parents' shoulders. His father returned home every evening with tired eyes and bent shoulders, while his mother's hands were always rough from washing. Yet she smiled warmly at her children. At 12 years old, Daniel already knew what it meant to sacrifice. He helped his father in the fields, carried water from the well, collected firewood, and watched over his sisters. But despite these responsibilities, he had a dream. Daniel wanted to study. He longed to go to school every day, sit in a classroom, and learn from books. Deep in his heart, he believed education was the only way to escape poverty, not just for himself, but for his entire family. The village had a small school, but many poor children did not attend. Their parents preferred them to work instead of wasting time in class. But Daniel was different. He wanted to learn, even if it meant walking barefoot to school with an empty stomach. Daniel loved school, but it was never easy. He had only one old notebook, half filled with scribbles, and a small pencil that was almost finished. Some days he couldn't attend classes because his father needed his help in the fields. Other days, he had no food to take for lunch, and his stomach growled during lessons. The other children sometimes laughed at him. They mocked his torn clothes and bare feet. Some teachers even ignored him, thinking he was too poor to have a real future. But Daniel refused to give up. At night, after finishing his chores, Daniel sat under a dim kerosene lamp, reading borrowed books. The light hurt his eyes, but he continued, whispering lessons to himself until he fell asleep with his head on the pages. His sisters often curled beside him, listening to him read. One evening, his mother noticed his tired eyes. She sat down next to him and said softly, "My son, your eyes are weary, but your heart is strong. Keep learning. One day, your knowledge will become our light." Her words gave him courage. Poverty was heavy, but hope was heavier in his heart. As Daniel grew older, the responsibilities on his shoulders only increased. To help his family, he started working small jobs. He sold tea at the bus stop, polished shoes in the market, and carried bags for travelers. Every coin he earned, he handed to his mother. Many times he stayed hungry so his sisters could eat. One evening, while selling tea, a traveler noticed him reading between serving customers. Curious, the man asked, "Why do you study so hard, boy?" Daniel's eyes filled with tears. He replied, "Because I want to change my life. I don't want my sisters to suffer like this forever." The traveler placed a hand on his shoulder. "Never stop," he said. "Life will test you, but education is your strength." Those words stayed with Daniel, growing in his heart like a seed of hope. Years passed. Daniel worked hard, studied harder, and finally completed high school. He was the first in his family to pass the exams. His parents were overwhelmed with pride. His father cried silently, while his mother hugged him tightly and whispered, "This is only the beginning." Through a scholarship, Daniel was accepted into a college in the nearby city. It was his dream come true, but also the start of a new struggle. City life was harsh. He lived in a small, dark room with cracked walls. To support himself, he worked part-time in a restaurant, washing dishes late at night. Many times, he studied on an empty stomach because his wages were too small to cover food and books. Loneliness surrounded him. There were nights when he sat in his room, staring at the ceiling, tempted to give up. But whenever despair grew heavy, he remembered his mother's words and his sister's smiles. Those memories gave him the courage to continue. College tested Daniel in every possible way. His clothes were simple and old. Wealthier students sometimes mocked him for his appearance. He often ate only one meal a day, saving money for notebooks and pens. Yet, he never complained. One of his professors noticed his dedication and gave him free access to the college library. For Daniel, the library became a paradise. He spent hours there, not only reading textbooks, but also biographies of great people who had risen from poverty. From those books, he learned about courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Slowly, his efforts bore fruit. Daniel became one of the top students in his class. His professors admired his intelligence and discipline. His dream of becoming an engineer no longer seemed impossible. But the sacrifices continued. He missed family weddings, religious festivals, and community gatherings because he could not afford to travel home. Sometimes he cried quietly in his small room, but in his heart he whispered, "This is the long road home. I must walk it, no matter how hard it is." After years of struggle, Daniel finally graduated as an engineer. When he received his degree, he could hardly believe it. He had achieved something no one in his village had ever done before. Soon after, he found a good job in the city. His first salary was small compared to others, but for him, it was a treasure. The very first thing he did was send money home. With his help, his sisters could now wear proper clothes, buy books, and eat well. His parents no longer worried about hunger. Months later, Daniel returned to his village. The news spread quickly. Villagers gathered to welcome him. Children ran behind him, shouting with joy. He was no longer the boy with torn shoes. He had become a symbol of hope. He visited his old school, where children still studied under the same tree. Standing before them, he said, "Do not give up. If I can do it, you can too. Poverty is not the end. Education is the road to freedom." His words inspired many children. Teachers who once doubted him now looked at him with admiration. That evening, Daniel hugged his parents tightly. His father's eyes filled with tears. His mother whispered, "You did it, my son. You walked the long road home." For Daniel, that moment was more valuable than any wealth. He had carried pain, sacrifice, and hope through years of hardship and transformed it into light, not only for his family, but for his entire community. This is the story of Daniel, but it is also the story of millions of people around the world who struggle every day yet never give up. It teaches us that even in the darkest times, hope and education can light the way. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed the long road home and learned something new in English today. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.